Okay, this is Jacob Schmidt with deerhuntingschool.com, looking at aerial photo and doing an aerial analysis here. Jonathan, I appreciate you letting me take a look at this. I've looked at this area for several times, and one thing I will say here on Google Earth, as we zoom in and stuff, you'll see here just a few. The area, it shows a lot of big, really steep-looking hills, and I've looked at it on topo, and they're not as steep as it shows on here. Now there are some a little bit of terrain and stuff, but it's nothing like what it shows on here. I mean, it almost looks like bluffs on Google Earth here, and that's deceiving. And I've noticed that with some areas of Google Earth. But here's the area. Obviously, that's pretty close to the area that you sent me. You know, but I'll zoom in here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I mean, it shows. Man, it looks like these things are cliffs, and I've noticed that on Google Earth. I've seen areas that look like big mountains almost that didn't even. I mean, they were just very small inclines, and then I've got mountains that look the same. I mean, they don't. Google Earth doesn't do a real good job with the topography. Anyways, there are a few areas here on aerial photo that really stand out. You'll have to bear with me on I'm using a new mouse. My mouse messed up a while ago, and I swiped my mouse off my wife's computer, and hers is, you have to really push it hard. It's a little different, and I'm not used to it, so bear with me if it looks screen's going all wacky and everything. But the first thing I want to talk about, I'll just go ahead and point out what I did notice a couple funnels that are possible funnels. Now, you're going to really need to check and make sure that that you can hunt them, because some of them are pretty close to houses, and they create funnels. People's yards and stuff create funnels. I keep grabbing the wrong dang mouse. So definitely check your local game laws and make sure that you can hunt in here. And we'll zoom in here. And see this creek here? It comes up. I assume it's a creek or just a little slough or something off this lake, whatever. And you got this swamp, this real marshy area here, where that comes really close to these houses and stuff right through here. You got a bunch of houses in here, and Google Earth doesn't do really well with the pictures here. I've looked at some other maps, and I don't show them on these YouTube ones because it tells the road names and it tells everything, so I don't show them on here. I want to keep this area discreet as much as possible. But where that comes really tight here, this creek here runs up, and that's not perfectly down the creek, but you right here, right there, there, and then you've got these houses here, okay? Yeah, a clump of them here, and you've got a clump of them here, and then these run here. That creates just a really natural funnel from deer that are coming through here. Somewhere down through here, and I'm going to change colors because it's hard to pinpoint exactly, say, hey, this is the spot here, because, but somewhere, I can't really do that right here because somewhere I would imagine down through here they're going to be crossing this creek, and there's just going to be there's a funnel all the way down through there, but there's going to be a spot somewhere down through that area that's really going to key in better and it's down that where I just circled in yellow. That the traffic is really going to be better. Now here's also a funnel as well. Here, okay, that runs in between these houses. And the reason I say you need to check your game log, see how close you can hunt to these houses, you know, because obviously where that creek swings really tight, or that slough or whatever that is swings really tight to these houses, and them deer are coming through there, that's going to be the best spot, especially if you're bow hunting. But you want to be within the law, okay? So looking at this, I'm really keying in on an area somewhere in here, and I'm keying in right in here somewhere. Okay, and then up in here, you might take a look at. Them are the three spots that I see. I'm trying to explain how to say this. Out of the entire area, these are the three spots I expect out of one of them three spots to be the better, especially here and here, to be your somewhere in there is where I expect it to be the good, really good spots. And then here, now the deer are going to work that whole area, but especially when this is in water here and the deer aren't in there, it's really going to draw them deer tight right up through here as they come out and stuff. But you really need to find where they can cross this slough. And one other thing is, at the end of that slough, wherever it ends, I couldn't really pick it out. Wherever that thing ends may be the spot. These deer may walk around the end of it and then come down. Okay, so there's a lot. That's an area of interest, though. This whole area is, and then where I circled them in pink is where I expect to really. I guess I could say that would be where I would actually be going to. You know, if I was to come in here, say you were to come in right here, and you were to come through, I would want to check here, walk, and I would look it all over, but I would at least, what I'm saying is, if I come in here and I found out this here's awesome, or this looked really awesome right in here, or say I come in from up here and I'm coming down and it looked really, really awesome here, I want to at least get to these and look at these areas, okay? And because if you just come in here and you go, oh my God, this is awesome, you may actually be missing a big chunk of the what's going on here. I guess I hope that makes sense to you. Kind of hard to explain that, but anyways, other area that really interests me, this stupid mouse. The other thing that really interests me when I look at this, one thing when I look at aerial photos, one of the very first things I look for is funnels, and then I look for edges, and usually you find the funnels and stuff by looking at the edges. So one of the first things I really look for is the edges. The edge of this lake here, and the edge of this property. Them edges and stuff create a funnel up through here. But anyways, up here towards this part here, if you look in here, I'm going to just stay zoomed about like this, okay? You've got all this pines and stuff all out through here, okay? There's just a big area of pines. Let me erase that, but just a big area of pines here and here and stuff. And not much. I don't expect a whole lot going on in here as far as feeding and what have you. And I'm going to measure this real fast so we can see. We're going to look at we're going to do it in miles. We're just going to see how. I mean, that's a mile there. So this is nearly a square mile here from here towards, right in here. That's almost a square mile. So there's definitely going to be some deer. That's going to be their home range, and that's going to be where they're living. So within that area, what really stands out to me are these edges, especially as you see these I assume they're going to be oak trees that run up through here. You know, they come out and almost look like fingers. They come out here and what have you. When the acorns start dropping, which where you're at shouldn't be too long, I wouldn't imagine. They're just starting to drop here. You know where I'm at. I'm in Arkansas. You know what state you're in, so I would imagine you're going to be pretty close to here. But when the acorns start dropping, the deer in this area here, especially in this inner core, I don't want to erase. I want to change. Especially in this, this area right in here. I really expect their movements and stuff to come in and work along as they're feeding in and out of these points. As you're coming in, any deer right in here or whatever, it could be in a big area here. I really expect them to come out and begin feeding down these points, okay? Wherever it is. Now, obviously, when you get out here, you've got a lot of scattered oaks, and them are tough to hunt. We'll look at that in a minute when we'll go back in time and we'll look at this in the matter of fact, let's just do that right now. Let's go back 1 year or one time frame here, because you can really see the oaks stand out here in this picture, okay? You see up in here there's a lot of pines and just oaks just scattered everywhere, but I don't see any deciduous trees up in here, and deciduous trees are trees that lose their leaves. Other than in this pink area that I have outlined here. Okay, so what that does is when deer, let me say it like this: if I was going to hunt deer on acorns, I'm looking where I'm wanting to find somewhere where there's not a lot of acorns. Does that make sense to you? Basically, this here. If I'm going to hunt deer on acorns, it doesn't make sense. I have areas, literally white oaks. I love hunting white oaks, okay? And anybody that's deer hunted long should love hunting white oaks, but there's a way to do it, and I have areas literally where there are 1,000 acres with 1 million white oaks on it, probably, or more. There's just a white oak every 5 yards. There's a white oak tree, or every 10 yards. You could go in blindfolded and hang you a deer stand, and you're going to have 10 white oaks within bow range of you. I don't care where you put it, in a 1,000-acre area. Okay, it doesn't make any sense to hunt white oaks there, because the deer can go feed anywhere on this 1,000 acres. Okay, what I want though is when I'm looking for white oaks or any type of a oak tree. Okay, it's no different than, let's just say we go out in the middle of Iowa, and somebody said, well, I'll tell you what the deer are feeding on. They're feeding on soybeans. Okay, well, you go out there and they drop you off, and you turn around and you look, and there's 10,000 acres of soybeans. It's not going to do you a whole lot of good. Okay, but if you was in Iowa and you went somewhere where in that 10,000 acres everybody's harvested their soybeans except for one little farm with 10 acres of soybeans, where do you think you can find the deer then? Okay, so when you're looking for oak trees or any type of food source or anything, you want to find where it's limited. Okay, if this makes sense to you. So basically, if I have a monster thicket, okay, and I have deer, I know they're bedding there, okay, and then I have this one little 2 or 3 white oak trees here, and then maybe I have this big monster patch of white oaks out here, okay. Where would you think that it would be easier to peg the deer when they come into feeding on white oaks? Let's say this is a mile wide here, okay, and this is a 40-yard circle, 40 yards plumb across this. Obviously, if you're set up on this white oak patch here, and a deer comes into that, you're going to have a much better chance of getting a shot at that deer. Okay. Now, yeah, there's probably more deer feed out in here because there's 10,000 white oak trees. But the problem is you may sit there and never get a shot at deer, especially with a bow and arrow. Okay, so what you're looking for, areas where the food is concentrated in a small area with not a whole bunch of food around it. Okay, when you get out in here, it's pretty scattered. I mean, you've got some deciduous trees here, here, and I'm assuming there's gonna be oak trees in there. You've got these. Now these aren't too bad. These here are not too bad. But really, what I'm really talking about is like, and this is off the property that you circled. But look here. I mean, this is a big area. It runs way off the map. And here, that's a pretty big area. Okay, the deer have a lot of area. Just look up here. Okay, all this, all that. I'm sure there's oak trees scattered all out through there. Okay, so it's just difficult to find where the deer would be. But when you get in areas like this, there's going to be some oak trees scattered along through here that's dropping some acorns. If they're dropping acorns, these are areas where when the deer come through, you can get a shot at them. Okay? Now I'm going to erase all this mess. And I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And we're going to do some measurement and stuff. Okay. Where I'm really looking for, this stupid mouse doesn't know which way to go. I don't know what the problem is. What I'm really looking for here is, let me show you here. Okay. Where these fingers join. Where my points of interest are where these things join, okay? Where they intersect. And I'm not really well, that's all plumb off the thing. But this area right down here as well, and we'll look at that in a second, but here's an area. Okay? And here's an area. They're my main points of interest here. And I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to erase all this and I'm going to zoom out because it's not all of it. I'm going to move the map. Let's move the map. And I'll redraw that. So I have, here and here. Then I have here and here. You have a little one here, okay? So, I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas here that are really, gets my attention, okay? So, I'd go in and take a look at these areas. I want to walk up and down this, see what type of trees they are. There is a chance that none of them could be, there could be no oak trees there at all that's dropping acorns. That would be surprising. But I really think this is an area where as these deer feed in, they're going to feed up and down these, and you're going to have a higher concentration of deer. And the other thing, especially if you're bow hunting, let's look at this thing. We're talking, that thing there is 50 yards wide. Okay, so it keeps the deer in an area where if they're coming through here and they're feeding on these trees, and there's oak trees dropping in here and they're feeding on these acorns, they're going to be in a lot smaller area than some of these others we're going to look at. Okay, so that's when the acorns start feeding. You want to really key in on these these here. Now right in here is the same way. It's not, these aren't bad. I mean, this is right off the edge of the property line, but I actually, looking at some other maps, I really think you can hunt a big area around this. So I'm going to talk about this. Right in here is not bad. Here and here. Right in here is not bad, because any deer coming in and out of here, working their way into these bigger oak flats out in here, are going to be, you know, a lot better. It's the same thing here. You know, here. These aren't too bad. But I really like this area here a lot better. Okay. Figured I'd erase the thing again. I've only done it 10 times in this video and forgot how. Okay. Oh my gosh, this mouse. Alright, now, this is what I'm talking about, you know, down in here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. You know, this is what I'm talking about here. If you were trying to find, you know, say, hey, deer are feeding, you know, here, deer are feeding on these acorns here. Well, the problem is, you know, that's 300 yards wide. Where in the heck are they going to be at? Okay, if that makes sense to you, what I was talking about earlier. I think I come across pretty good. So, you know, definitely look at that area up there. Look at these funnels. Now, I wouldn't count these areas out, especially, I'm going to show you, and this works on river bends and heavy creek bends and stuff. But right here is you have this swings, okay, like that. Now, deer can walk through anywhere through here, you know, anywhere through here, no problem. And that's 300 something yards wide. Okay. And we're going to measure it just to make it. I think it's like 360. It's 388 yards wide. Okay. So the deer can walk. They have a 388 yard wide gap that they can cover here. Okay. But you know, if by looking on an aerial photo in areas of interest, oh my gosh, this mouse is driving me nuts. I know I've said that several times, but it really is. Areas of interest, you know, if you're looking at a buck, now look, we're getting in the rut when we're looking at funnels and stuff, and that's no different from this funnels up there by the houses and stuff in the rut. Them are areas to really key on when the deer go to seeking and chasing. Okay, now when you're, you know, let's just say there's a buck down in here somewhere, which is pretty good probability, you know, of a buck being in there at some point, and he wants to get over here or over here or wherever. Okay, over here, somewhere over here. Okay, for that, when he comes out of here and he's walking this way, because you have this lake here and it makes this bend, and it's got this cove here. Well, that cove, and it's got this here down in here. Deer can be down in here. When they come out of here, it's naturally going to funnel them. So just a one-sided funnel, but nevertheless, it's a half a funnel basically. It's half of a funnel. When a deer's coming out of here, they're really apt to be funneled pretty tight towards these bends. Okay, this is an area, especially in the rut and stuff, when bucks are chasing does or heavy hunting pressure. Let's say heavy hunting pressure moves in here. Okay, and you know that there's a bunch of guys that's probably going to move in and hunt up in here or something. And let's just say there's a I'm going to erase all this and zoom out just a little. And then we're going to talk about wind a little bit. And let's just say that maybe it's opening day of gun season or whatever the case may be. Okay, whatever the reason is, there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of hunting activity coming in here. A lot of guys coming in hunt, and you have some sort of a north wind. Okay, so the wind's blowing like this, and there's going to be a lot of guys coming on off this road here. Okay, and you expect a lot of hunting activity in this area here. Okay, that is naturally, when they come in off of these roads, is naturally going to push these deer this direction, and it's usually within that first 5 minutes of shooting light, 5 or 10 minutes of shooting light, because a lot of guys, they'll come into their stands and stuff, they wait for it to be just daylight enough where they can see, and then they walk in. Not a bad idea. I'm not bashing it, for not saying anything against doing that, because a lot of people do that. I've done that. And in occasions, I do, but very rarely. Most of the time now, I know where I'm going. But, in occasions, I may wait till just a hint of daylight. But usually, I'm there well before daylight. But these guys come in, and it pushes deer out of these areas, and they're going to funnel pretty tight. Well, they're not going to walk through that little cove there, but they're going to funnel pretty tight into this area. No different than this funnel here that's up in here. They're going to be funneled and pushed out through here. Now, and both of them are going to be decent spots or decent areas in the rut to look at, because of, it's a one-sided funnel. And a lot of times, sometimes them funnels like that are better than an actual funnel where a deer's forced to go through there, because sometimes when they're forced to go through there and they're pressured, they get a little nervy. But they're not so as nervy here, because he's still, if he encounters danger here, he can bounce off. But let's just say you have a river here and you have a river here, if that was to ever happen, and you have a big, huge bunch of land here and a big, huge bunch of land here, sometimes they get a little nervy because they get in the middle there and there's no escape route really other than to really swim the river or something. Where here they're not quite as nervy because they do have escape routes. They're still going to travel through here. Very good hunting spot, but if you could find something like that. But it's a one-sided funnel, and there's several of them on here. Okay. As I look down into here, any of these spots where, okay, there could be deer here, or you may be hunting does, bucks, whatever the case may be. If there's deer down in here and they're coming out, they're going to use this little cove is going to pinch them pretty tight a lot of times right into close to that. Okay. Here, this area here is actually pretty tight, but the chances of many deer being down in here is not going to be great. But it could be. I mean, it could be the biggest buck around here maybe living here, especially if nobody's ever going back there. But anyways, now you also see this area here with the food and stuff. If you were going to hunt, if I was going to hunt this area early season, I'm going to be coming in there and I'm going to have some definite areas that I've seen some good buck sign. I'm not just going to go in there and hunt, try to hunt in between a bedding and a feed pattern without a lot of good buck sign. Now, if I was going to hunt this area in rut or heavy hunted pressure and stuff, I'm going to hunt, some of these coves, and they're worth taking a look at. These one-sided funnels here. Here's one. Here's a pretty good one here. There's one here a little bit if deer come out here. Probably this one here, I probably wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to look at. There's one here a little bit, and that's if there's deer up in here and they're coming out, or vice versa, they're coming in. But the one I would really look at would be here and here, because it's a big area leading into another big area. Now, I'm going to erase this depending on what all you can hunt, here, here's another one right here, which is here. I just circled it, and that counts deer coming here and here as they're coming across, okay? And then just so that when you're looking at other places, you know, you may be able to hunt this, but here's another one right here. This is a great one because you have this, and deer coming out from here, you know, coming around. Somewhere in here is going to swing them pretty tight. You know, deer coming out of here, somewhere in here. Deer coming from here, coming down. You know, it forces them through here. Now, yeah, they can walk, you know, plumb around here and come down through here, but, you know, that creates a one-sided funnel, and this is an area of interest if you're looking at, if you're doing some scouting and you're looking. Okay. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about was with your wind and stuff, you're going to have to really be careful out in these areas. Now here, you know, if you're hunting here or any of the here or here, anytime you can get a wind, you know, that's blowing your scent out in over this water, great setup because you get somewhat tight to the water. I wouldn't get super tight to this because there's only funneling the deer on one side. Okay, it's not like you could get super tight and then the deer could just come barely out of bow range. I would get pretty tight. If a deer's going to come, you know, in between you and the lake here, you know, say you're 40 yards off and the deer, or 30 yards off or something, and the deer comes pretty between you and the lake, I mean, you can shoot it before it gets in your scent stream, or, you know, take that chance. But basically, if you have a wind like this and you're set up, let's just say you're set up here, it's blowing your scent out in over this water where there's not going to be any deer. Okay, so that's a really good setup. Now, you're going to have to be more cautious about your scent and stuff down in these areas because there's not people there a lot. But one thing I will tell you, when you get up around these houses and stuff, not that deer won't blow out of there, because they will, but a lot of times they're not quite as nervy and quite as alarmed when they pick up human scent because they're used to smelling humans in the area. You know, you have human activity here. They know there's going to be human there. They've been born there. They've encountered humans there. They know where the humans are. They feel safe with these humans, so they're not quite as apt to blow up on human scent. But you can still, if there's no deer bedded in here. Now, one thing, when the pressure gets heavy, if it gets heavy, a lot of hunting pressure gets heavy around here. If there's a lot of hunting pressure and there's a lot of pressure on these deer, they're probably going to find spots out in here to bed if this water's low. Okay, now if this water's high and there's no way they can bed out here, then you can blow scent out into here, or you can let it blow out into this neighborhood. Okay, on that, and then when you're down in here, it's going to be a little tougher because you're hunting these, you know, there's 1, 2, 3 different directions deer can come through. But if I'm hunting this and I'm setting this up, naturally, when you're in there, you can see how the layout is and where the most likely places deer can come. You want to play it on a percentage basis. You want your scent to blow in an area that's least likely for deer to come from. There's never, ever 100%, even when you're hunting, blowing out into this lake, because deer, you know, even when you're here and you're 5 foot off this dang lake and your scent's blowing out into this lake and it never blows, I mean, it's the truest wind you've ever had, there still is a chance a deer could get downwind of you even out. I mean, they can swim out in that dang water. Okay, so there's never a guaranteed. You just want the percentage is the highest. Now, the percentages of, if you were 5 foot and the wind was blowing and it was true, percentages of a deer wind and use very, very almost impossible. But here, you know, if you're setting up in these areas here, you really want, let's just go with north wind, okay? A north wind. You would really want to set up on this edge here, and really a northwest wind would be great for in a spot like that. A northwest, you'd want to set up on this side here, okay, on the lower section of this and this, because that gives you down here your percentages are the less. Now with that westerly wind, any type of westerly, it takes your scent back out into here. But with a northerly wind, deer coming up out of here or here are coming into the wind. Okay. Now this here, you could get winded back in here, but you really you want to keep that percentages the lowest. Now on a southerly wind, you'd want to be here on a straight south. You know, kind of in between and letting your scent blow up into here. I'm not sure about this spot here on a south wind, because there's going to be a little variance and it's going to be blowing here and here at times. Okay, so I would hunt. I really like this setup on like a northeast. Okay, a northeast wind where you're set up like this and you're blowing like that out into this area. Okay, and then you want to look at the variance, so your scent's going to be something like so most of the time. And that gives these deer, especially deer coming out of here and stuff, false sense that they're coming into the wind, or at least quartering into the wind. Okay, and this would even be a north wind. Okay, and then here, it's the same thing, a northwest wind. I really don't like this setup in a northwest wind here, but that northeast wind, a southwest wind, I really like it. And that's setting up, you know, something like here, a southwest wind. Deer coming down here, they're coming into the wind. Deer, they're crossing into the wind. This one here, you could get away with a northeast wind. You could set up several stand locations on this. But if I was going to hunt this, if I was going to hunt, you know, I was going to hunt with a northwest wind and I wanted to hunt this, there was no possible way I was going to not hunt it. You definitely want to be on the southern part of this fork. Okay, because that's the most likely place that these deer are going to come. You'd have a wind blowing, you know, down in here or something. It's going to blow down in here some, but there's only one way of traffic here, and there's two ways here. So percentage-wise, you're better here, but you're much better hunting this thing with a southwest, some type of a southwest wind. And I'm getting a bunch of scribble. Okay, and this one here would be pretty good with a northwest wind. It'd be pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good. A northwest, a northeast, any type of north wind almost. Here, anything taking your scent back into here. Really looks good. Now an east wind. I hope I've been saying my directions right. East wind. Set up here. A southeast wind. Same setup. You could set there with a northeast wind. I think I've been saying northwest wind. I'm sorry if so. This is east. If I have messed that up, this is east, and this is west, and this is north, and this is south. I think I've been saying that wrong. I can't remember. But this, anything coming from here, what I think I've been saying was a northwest wind, is a northeast wind. Okay. Anything coming, matter of fact, I'm going to change colors and put a red so you know that for sure. Anything here, anything that I said and drew an arrow out of this direction, that's a northeast wind. You could set up here. You could set up here with a northeast wind, but I would really set here with a northeast wind. I would use this as a southerly, a southeast, a east. I would set here. You could definitely set up multiple areas. Now you do still want to get in here and look at these areas. I don't think I would hunt this. Yeah, I mean you could hunt it with a southwest wind. You could hunt something like this. You look, depending on when you get in there and look at it. What I'm doing now is just basically kind of talking you through what you want to look for on any of your setups with your wind direction. It'd be a good access with a southwest wind right here, because you can come right off that road, boom, and the whole time you're coming in, your scent would be blowing right back where you came from. Be a really good access there. I'm trying to make sure I've covered everything on this property. Let me take a look at it. Talked about here. Talked about using the hunting pressure. One other thing is that I haven't talked about yet. This looks to me like a pretty good main road here, and it looks like it ends here. If this is a walking, if this from here, if everything from here south down into here, you know, if this trail here is a walk-in only, that makes this area back in here a lot hotter. Okay. If it's not, if you can drive all the way back in there, you know, that makes this area a lot less. And, you know, you want to get, if you're hunting big deer, any deer really, when the hunting pressure gets on, if you can get away from everybody else, I mean, it really, really makes the hunting better. I don't really think that the deer so much is that, hey, the deer ain't going to be there. But, I mean, just to be flat honest with you, if you have a lot of guys come in with guns and they're hunting in an area and it's, you know, let's just say, you know, I'm just drawing something here for instance to give you, because I do know there's people and stuff around here, but I want you to understand this, because let's just say this is 1 square mile, okay, and you've got, you know, 5 or 6 guys hunting this, okay. You get 5 or 6 guys hunting this, and they're killing deer and what have you. But then you have a square mile here that one guy's hunting, okay. And then you, for somehow, and I don't know how, but somehow you done a lot of homework and you found a square mile here and nobody's hunting this. Where do you think the most deer are going to be? I mean, even if, you know, now we're saying it's got the same type of habitat. Let's just say this is a desert down here and there's no water, there's no food, there's nothing, and there's nobody hunting it. There's probably a reason there's nobody hunting it, because there's no deer there. But we're saying it has the same type of habitat, okay? You know, basically it's all the same. Where do you think there's going to be the most deer? Obviously, there's going to be more deer where there's nobody hunting. For one, these guys are killing the deer. There's going to be more deer here because they're not getting killed. And that's just plain cold the way it is, you know. And here, there's obviously going to be more deer here than there are here. So anytime you can get away from hunters, Not so much of them pushing deer back in there, which they will push deer back into there. You know, there'll be more deer in there. For one, they're pushing deer there, but for other reasons, there's just not as many people killing them. There's not as many deer being killed there, so there's naturally going to be more deer. Okay, and that's pretty obvious to a lot of people. But when you're looking at this area, you know, you want to look where there's the least amount of people hunting, and then we're going to be your better areas. And I think I've pretty much covered everything. Now, the rut, in the rut, you really key in on these funnels and stuff. And when you're looking at that, looking for rubs from the year prior and stuff like that, you know, that'll really help you to see if them were rutting funnels. Usually, funnels that deer use in the rut a lot, they'll use them every year. Sometimes food sources and stuff change from year to year, you know, because maybe the oak trees, for some reason, they didn't produce acorns this year, or whatever the case may be. And then even when that happens, deer will even bed in different locations, retaining around the food. So, you know, remember that when you're looking at, you know, some of these areas. Because if you know, you may find one of these funnels really hot one year, especially before the rut, and then it's not hot the next, and that could be because its food changes. Usually, if you have a hot rutting spot, it usually stays a hot rutting spot for a long time. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, Jonathan. I appreciate you letting me take a look at your area, and I hope it helped you out a lot. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to give me a call, or not call. Feel free to email me. I'll do my best to help you out. And you know, just on some of these areas that I pointed out, you know, get in here, take a look at them. You know, I circled, like, for instance, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas right here, right through this area here, that are of interest. You may get in there and one or two of them may not look worth a darn, but I'd be hard for me to believe that if none of these were any good. Okay, and then this funnel, I mean, really, as I zoom in here, you see this funnel here, and then here. Really investigate that, and check also before you hunt it. Make sure you check your game laws. Okay, I know I said that, but make sure you're not hunting too close to these properties and stuff. And I don't even know if you can hunt them. It may all be private land, but this is all within the area you sent me. So, anyways, I appreciate it, and I wish you luck, and I hope this helps you out a lot. Thank you. Have a good day, and bye-bye.